Hello, Sindhu. How are you?
Thanks, Pia. I am perfect. It's a great day, and I'm so glad to be here.
Good, good. So I thought that for the purpose of understanding how professionals are dealing with their stresses, their days, I would rather start with people who I know who are highly functioning individuals, and it'll give me a lot of insight into how you plan your day, how you do things, right? So are we good to go?
We are, but I'll tell you this: it's such a pleasant surprise to have someone ask this of us. Most of us mental health professionals are always hustling, always meeting other people halfway. No one actually slows down and asks us, "Hey, how are you doing? Do you need support? Do you need something from us?" And it's so wonderfully warm to hear you ask me that. So yeah, we are off to a good start already.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Sindhu. So, tell me, what is the first thing you do to start your day?
Okay, so since the last 22 years, I have been getting bed tea. My husband lovingly makes it every morning. So
Wow.
I wake up to him and chai, and I'm not a very happy, bright riser. My husband is. So he ensures that I get up in a pleasant mood. So, but when I get up and I have my tea, then we put on some music. It's been a ritual since many, many, many years that we always have like a really nice music playing in the background. Then I love to make breakfast for my family, so I make breakfast for them. So mornings are very grounding and anchoring time for us as a family, and it's a nice easy shower. I get ready for work. My work starts early, Pia, so I deal with a lot, and you must be aware, I have a lot of clients who are overseas, so which means I start work at 7 o'clock or 7:30 in the morning,
Yes.
and I get onto my, so I have a separate room where I work. It was very important to me that there is a separate space for therapy for me. So even though we were during the COVID time, working, all of us were working remotely, but a clearly demarcated space for work was important because I have a habit of the breakfast, shower, then getting ready as I would to go to work. And I know you and Dr. Satyan often remark about it that I'm always ready, and it's because I treat all my days. If I'm working, it's a work day, which means I will have my heels on. I will have my either comfortable shoes or heels or pants or So I've never done the yoga pants and t-shirt therapy. So I suppose I'm very old school like that. So and then I come to my room and the room stays locked for the duration of my work. Um, starts the work starts at 7. I take a break. So after every session I take a about a 5-minute break to walk around, and actually that 5 minute is supposed to help me catch up with my case notes. I hate doing case notes. I dislike sequencing my thoughts or writing things down, but I get myself to do it, and well, some of the times I miss. It's either coffee time or it's just a quick chat with my son or my husband, and then I'm back to work. So my mornings start like that. An interesting thing, every single day, Pia, there is a theme music to my work. Now everybody in my family finds it very ridiculous. Like like this morning, it was Ralph McTell's, "Girl on a Bicycle." That was the song I was playing. So I choose a song and I put it on Spotify, and that song kind of decides the mood of the day. Now,
Wow.
between you and me, strange thing, I also choose my perfumes according to the mood. So
Wow.
I like to wear a different one every day, and I also like to use a different bath gel every day. So these are small little quirks that I suppose makes me happy in the morning. And
Hmm.
once my morning is sorted, the rest of the day just falls into place. However, as a therapist, no 2 days are similar, no 2 hours are similar. So I'm always ready for something. So sorry, I spoke so much. Now,
No,
go
no,
ahead,
no,
ask me something.
absolutely. That's something that I have also seen over last 1 year, and yeah, I mean it's if had it not been a formal recorded interview that would go out tomorrow or whenever it does, I would also be sitting in pajamas right now. I take most of my calls in t-shirts and pajamas. So I think you're one of the very, very few people who I've seen like this, not in pajamas. But I am looking forward to see that whenever I see you next.
Yeah. So
Maybe
I'm
not
a
work.
very different, right, but I'm a very different person when I'm taking a holiday.
Right.
My family tells me it's a different personality that comes out.
Really.
So I love that. I love that I can switch.
That's interesting. So on the point of switching, Sindhu,
Hmm.
how like between your work and your family, how do you make time for your hobbies if you have any?
So I wouldn't call them hobbies, but they're just a part of my life. So, hobbies would mean that I'm pursuing a separate vocation and then building the skill. I think as far and as long as I've known myself, I've always done more things than just work.
Mm,
So whether it is sometimes, so nothing is consistent. That's something I have a neurodivergent brain. So which means I'm always picking up new things. I am always learning new things, and these are very random things, by the way. So it could be practicing backward writing, which I think you're probably the second or third person in the world that I've shared this with. I have a habit of writing everything backwards when I'm so
interesting.
that I can read them in the mirror.
That's very
And
interesting. I remember doing it when I was in school.
yeah, I think I still do it. A lot of times, when I'm bored, I'll doodle. I love to paint. I love to paint t-shirts. So, but they're not hobbies. It's just so ingrained in my everyday life. I
Ah,
love to spend time with horses. And the thing is that when I go to spend time with horses, it is not about riding, but cleaning them. There is something so deeply therapeutic about grooming a horse,
mhm.
and I love that. And fortunately, the place where I am, very close to our place, is this lovely club, equestrian club, where there are thoroughbred horses, and people are very kind there. So I go and practice some of the grooming there, and so horses calm me. My cat, we adopted a cat recently, so my cat is an absolute entertainment. Cats are weird and strange and funny. So that's fun.
Moody,
Then
moody.
I
Aren't they moody?
very moody and so unpredictable and so curious. We keep looking for her in the house and we find her in little bags, blanket bags or other bags. It's fun. And then I'm also mom to a 13-year-old, which means my hands are more than full. So there are always these smart repartees, and there are always this banter going on in the house. There's always something that he will come back from school with a story that we are going to then talk about. So it's actually quite wholesome being his mom, being my cat's parent, being a psychologist. Uh, it's been very, very nice so far. That's all I can say. So the shift or the switch or the idea of spending time with family, there is again nothing earmarked or a separate thing that we I do with them, because we have our meals. My rule in the house is no phones on the table, and it's I follow that too. No matter what, no phones on the table, all meals together, and we have a habit of talking. All three of us sit and talk before going to bed. So we are talking about very random updates and highs and lows of life.
No, that's
So we're
that's
not talking about
beautiful.
anything serious.
That's
So these
that's
are some of the
very
things I think
beautiful.
that it's so simple to do, isn't it, Pia? Just
Mm.
finding that 10 minutes before bedtime to, just physically be in the same space without the phones and talk about the day. And, and you know how kids are, they always are so filled with stories. And we just have to be good listeners.
True, true. So, for the purpose of this video, I also want to tell people that Sindhu is one of the very few balanced parents that I have seen and met, and uh, I think over past more than a year, I've been reaching out to you for things to do in my life, right? which has got us to a level wherein now Sindhu heads the therapy department at the Mindsmith, and she takes care of everything, so that part of me is very relaxed, wherein I know that the department is in very capable hands now. A, because Sidhu is one person who is very scientific in nature. So she'll not tell you anything and she'll not say anything when she does not really have an evidence supporting it. So that's one thing that, that minds with match we had of our mindsets, right? So Sindhu, going back to our conversation, how do you do what you do? So, for example, right now, I know that you start your day at a certain time and you end your day at a certain time, which is very tough when you are doing something like when you're freelancing or when you're running your own
Mm-hmm.
practice. So the hours get blurred. How do you do
Mm-hmm.
it?
Hard stop here. Hard stop. I know that I will be doing injustice to my patients or clients if I were not to take care of myself. But having said that, it's not like some nights and evenings we don't get emergency calls. So we do get calls about, self-harm or suicide attempts. And that's when I am reaching out to my with top psychiatrist and we are coordinating a best care for the patient. Uh, but one needs to know to put a hard stop to when and how much to pour into work and where do you then start doing other things. I don't think I'd be showing up well and adequately for my clients if I didn't take care of myself. It's very important for me to not, as much as possible, not get the lines blurred. But again, this is an unpredictable profession. So in the morning, what you could start with marital therapy. At 10 o'clock, you're dealing with an adolescent suicide attempt. Then the third, you are dealing with addiction or someone could have relapsed. Right after this meeting, I could be dealing with obsessive compulsive disorders. So every hour is a new surprise. But all I know is that in order for me to hold the space scientifically and sufficiently for my clients, and for them to be allowed that growth in that space, I need to show up good enough. So
And
that's very important.
you do. Invariably. Like I've tried this,
Thank
I
you
don't know,
so
I wouldn't say a million times, but I think we have done at least 100 calls by now. And you do. You do. I can vouch for
thank
that.
you. I really appreciate you saying that.
Absolutely. So, Sindhu, I think we have been talking about stresses. The whole world is talking about work stresses and everything. But here's a little tweak to the question. So, tell me, what are some of the things that make you feel happy and fulfilled through the day?
Oh my God, I'm loving this interview. I have never gotten this focused attention about my life. Pia, I'm so thankful to you. Nobody's actually asked me. I love that. So I'll tell you what makes me happy is, of course, right now in this moment, I find myself grinning and gleeing with joy. Uh, I love very small things. I love, and I'll tell you this, I actually love the smell of coffee in the morning. I love breakfast. I enjoy very simple things like walking by the promenade or by a water body. I love the fresh mountain air that you can gulp into your lungs. I love finding a twist in the story if I'm reading a book. I love finding the right Netflix series to watch. I just so many things, thousand things. I love pets. I love animals. I love quietness. I love cooking sometimes. Um, I love cleaning, arranging things. So very regular, very small things. I wish I could tell you that I have these beautiful slam book thoughts about what makes me happy. But I'm very anchored in family, I've realized here. And I think you and I were once talking about it, that for me, this intimate circle I have is very crucial to my well being. So I suppose for me to be doing half a good job as a psychologist, I need my core. need of family to be okay. So I pour a lot of energy there so that I can also get a lot of energy to do this.
So you're like that perfect example of it's the small things that matter.
Very small things.
True, true. It is actually the small things, the large gestures. I think I can totally relate to each and every word you said. And that also tells us the sort of person that you are. When you're able to enjoy those very small little things in your life, it says so much about you as a person,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, if I may say, when Mindsmith was being conceptualized and we were thinking of a lot of these ideas that were going into it, one of the things that hit home for me is the kind of people who were funding it and kind of people who were planning to lead. So it was very important to me to have a very strong belief match. And that's when I decided to come on board. For me, it was about science. It was about finally bringing neuroscience as a reality in practice in India, uh, not having psychologists and psychiatrists on separate islands, getting the mental health services together. Those were very important elements to me. And then the most important of all, the people who would lead it. So I'm very, very glad to be on board. And I'm not saying that because, well, this is a new gig. Honestly, I do feel we have that belief match.
Yes, we do. We do. In fact, that's why we are picking pace very slowly. We are adding people very slowly, like, hand picking. We're literally hand picking people here. But, as far as you were concerned, it was never a question or a decision. It was a given. There are very few people in your life who uh, are like that, who are a given that, okay, if I'm doing something, if I'm building something, then this person has to be a part of it. We build it together. It's lovely. Thank you so much. And, more than you, I would say the pleasure has been ours to have you on board because,
Thank you so much.
you're one of those people who, uh, any organization would feel lucky to have and I'll give you exactly why it's not a blank statement because
My
when
God, Tia, I hope this is getting recorded.
it
I'll
is, it
keep
is.
driving back to this interview just to feel good.
It is. So, I know that when we have talked about something and we discussed it, that, okay, Sindhu, this is what I want from you. And with 100% clear record, I have got it the same day. Whenever I've asked you to do something, I've always got it before the deadline we have set for or before the timelines we've had for something. And it is not about a week or a month. Mindsmith is very recent. You got onboarded very recently. But otherwise, like whenever we have had any workshops, whenever we work together, I know that, if it has gone to Sindhu, then it'll get done. So yes, mindset match, yes. But then other than that, the work ethics that you have, they're beautiful, and they
Thank
perfectly
you.
match, the vision that we have at Mindsmith. So the team that needs to build that vision, that team is you right now.
Thank you so much.
सिंधु मैं छोटा सा ना pausing the record अभी. Lovely. So, Sindhu, tell me one question that I probably should have asked at the start of this session, but what made you do what you're doing today? Why are you a psychotherapist?
You know, I think it was deeply personal, and I'm pretty sure for a lot of mental health professionals, the reason may actually be very personal and deeply, um, you know, deeply emotional. So I grew up with my sister. My sister is 1 year older than me, and she's severely mentally challenged. On medical files, she's called mentally retarded. So her cognitive, emotional functioning is that of a 3 to 4 year old child. I grew up alongside her, watching my parents and her and my older brother, all of us as a family, the kind of stressors we navigated through, the sort of impact. society and stigma had on all of us. And it was very clear to me very early in life that I needed to do something about I needed to do something to reduce the stigma or change the narrative society has around mental health. That was number one driver for me. The second was I needed it to be scientific. So I could not become, I'm sorry, but not a pranic healer or not a Reiki master or no disrespect at all, no offense at all. I mean, genuinely have respect for all spiritual practices. But for me, what hit closer to my core motivation was a scientific approach to mental health. And which is why for me it was important to study it, educate myself academically, professionally through the years to reach where I needed to reach or where I have to go. That the road is so long and there's so many barriers along the way. But I'll tell you this, even today, I think of my sister every day, every time I'm overwhelmed. I think of my family when I'm overwhelmed because I think of why I joined this and how it impacted me. And therefore, every person that I meet, I know a part of the work that I do for them is a part of my self work too.
That's beautiful, Sindhu. Yes. So, other than this, I mean, what other things possibly overwhelm and stress you in your days?
I think it would definitely be, look, I think it's a part of our work, but resistance to uh, therapeutic practices or when I see discrepancy and dissonance in family dynamics. Like a child is clearly needing help, but the parents are not on board. So I know it's a part of my work, but it does take a lot more energy from me, a lot more, I need to drive myself out there a lot more in order to do that work. I want to assume safely that there will be a time where all parents and all stakeholders of society will have the same opinion about mental health. I'd like that. I would
Hmm.
like at least this babel of voices to reduce. I just, I don't want kids to be fighting with their parents. I want parents to have to be the children's space, a safe space, so that emotional and mental being can be addressed. So those things overwhelm me. Very small stress factors. Um, those things, nothing else. Or if something happens to my very core need and anchor, which is my family. So I am very good with crisis management at work, but if there is even the slightest little fall that my son has, or if he gets fever or anything, I think I'm less of an efficient person. So very
Interesting.
emotional like that.
Hmm. So, Sindhu, one last question, okay? There are a lot of kids who are studying therapy, who are studying psychology, right? And they want to start their own practices. So, I would want you to give them a very clear picture of what to expect, no? And how they can manage things for themselves.
I think the first thing is for them to have a very realistic take on therapy as a practice. You're not a hero, you're not a savior. You are right in that very private space, creating a relational dynamic within which your patient or your client has a greater chance of improvement. Your entire focus should not be school of thought of therapy that, oh, is DBT better than CBT, is ICT better or ECT better or EMDR or a thousand other things. Your primary focus should be, am I building a strong enough, safe enough relationship with my client? Within that space, everything will happen. So that's primary. Most children now are so focused on the school of thought that they forget the most important fundamental of mental health is non-stigmatizing, non-minimizing, non-judgmental space. So focus on that. The second is expect yourself to be swamped, overwhelmed, stressed. Expect yourself to have breakdowns. Expect yourself to do terribly on some sessions and you're going to learn from that. But look, you can go and fix it. You can go and change things. You are a human too. So you are going to make, I've made mistakes in the first couple of years of my therapy too here. And I have assumed things, or I have either gotten too close to the client or just been too cold. I didn't know where the balance was. But with good supervision, you do get the hang of it. Give yourself time, cut yourself some slack. This work is hard. It's not a hobby. It's not something that you can just pick on the side. And the third most important thing is, fill your cup so you can. And I know we keep saying that to everyone, but if your cup is not filling and brimming with beautiful energy and joy and stability, how on earth are you expected to share it or give it or be for someone else? So please first focus on yourself. And I think which is why most of our therapists end up doing multiple things because we're trying to put all the self-care strategies to our own life and we are making it work for us first. So we've tried everything and then we are recommending it to you. Mindfulness really helps. And, I've started this practice about 5 years back and I'll tell you, it changes life. So I think, and I mean the non-woo-woo, non-religious, spiritual mindfulness. I mean, actual anchoring and centering of, uh, you know, your nervous system. It has dramatically improved the quality of my life and sleep. So yeah, there. So learn new skills.
Interesting. Wonderful, Sindhu. I thank you so much for taking out this time. I know you are a busy person and you have very strict deadlines and timelines cut out of for yourself. So thank you so much. It was lovely talking
I
to
had
you.
the most amazing time talking to you, Pia, and I mean
And
it from the
I'm
bottom
going
of
to
my
send you the
heart.
recording as well.
Take care. Bye
Lovely.
now.
Thank you. Take care,
Bye.
Sindhu. Bye.